Hi, Brennan. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, living the dream. It looks like you're in a much cooler place than I am. I'm jealous.
Right? Look like this little hotel room art gallery.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. Well, listen, I had a really fun time watching Red Notice, and you're Nolan. He's a con man and a thief, but he says he's the son of a cop, right? He's also got the Ryan Reynolds wit and charm we all know and love. So I wanted to know, out of every character you've played, do you think Nolan is the closest to yourself?
Hmm. Nolan is the closest? No, definitely not. I think my next movie is a movie called The Adam Project. That is by far the closest to myself I will ever come, for better or worse. I'm nervous about that one for that reason. But yeah, no, Nolan is like part of my self-defense mechanism, like since I was a kid, that sort of like little, guy that sort of takes over when I'm nervous, shy, or terrified. you know.
So now, of every actor you've worked with throughout your career, who do you think would be the hardest person to pull off a Nolan Booth con man job if you had to steal something from them?
The hardest person like to steal, like to like pull one over on.
Oh yeah, that you would have to. They have like the most valuable thing in the world. You got to set the whole thing up. Who would sniff it out the fastest?
Helen Mirren.
Oh yeah, she's
She nothing gets past that woman. She nothing. So definitely Helen Mirren. Like she just sees you coming from 10 miles away.
so now I'm actually going to flip that. Who would be the easiest, and why is it Hugh Jackman?
Who'd who'd be the yeah, it probably is Hugh Jackman just because of his docile, trusting nature. Like taking candy from a baby.
There's a scene in Deadpool where you punch Colossus and right where the sun don't shine, and your wrist and your hand just shatter. So I'm curious, did you have any moment where you thought that might happen if you had a fight scene with The Rock?
I would not want to punch that skull of his. That thing looks like you would break every bone in your children would need casts for their hands, even though they were nowhere near him when you hit him. That would be terrifying.
Was there a contest in the movie to see who could sip more aviation gin or Terramana tequila? Because I noticed both kind of made it into the film.
You know what? Little piece of trivia here. You know whose suggestion it was to put aviation gin in the movie? Was Dwayne's. You'd think it was me. You'd think I was the engine behind that, but I was not. It was actually Dwayne's idea. I suspect that he was padding me up for the eventual Terramana reveal somewhere later in the film.
I'll tell you, he's always marketing everything. He's a smart guy.
He's good at it. He knows what he's doing, that guy. I got to take a tip from him.
That's fair. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I have every once in a while I'll have a dream, like I'll be in the middle of the night and I'll just have a true nightmare that I show up to one of these interviews completely unprepared. I'm sitting across from one of you guys, and it is just like I'm shaking because I'm like, oh, what do I ask? So it makes me feel like my job's kind of hard. It's not that hard, but in those moments, I'm like, oh God, what's the worst job you ever had in your life that you realize, even nightmarish moments?
I did one of my first jobs was I was on a sitcom, and it was a pilot, and they I was maybe 18 or 19 years old. They rewrote everything right before the audience came in. So it was a pilot. There was a ton of stakes. It was a live audience, and nobody knew their lines. It was just everyone was trying to rapidly scramble and figure out. And that was actually the first time I really tried to experiment with improvisation on camera in the moment. And it sort of saved my life in that moment, but it was definitely a nightmare scenario. It was the exact same dream you're having, where you're just as unprepared as humanly possible. Your face is piping hot, and there's like four or 500 people sitting in an audience, watching you flounder.